It's going live now, buddy.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 146 of Mirrorless Minutes. Jerry woke up from a nap on the couch, and I'm probably going to pass out right after the show. I hope everybody in the audience is doing good tonight. And we've got a little bit of a different topic today.
That's right.
So you never know which spot is better, Facebook or YouTube. Now, that's a good question. Where does the video look better? I guess I'll leave that up to you guys on where the stream looks its best. There's always the audio version, but you don't get to see the pretty pictures.
Right.
So, Jerry, what's new? Do you have some stuff to talk about tonight about our F subject?
The F word?
The F word. So Jerry had a great idea. So we've got a subject we're going to talk about. It's the F word in Mirror.
Uh-oh. See? So at this point, am I the only one that's live?
No, for some reason, out on us. I don't know what the deal is. It's probably Comcast. I think Comcast or Xfinity is a little upset because I'm already at 110% of my data. So there's that. Are you still there, Jerry? Can you hear me?
You keep breaking up.
I'm breaking up. This isn't going to be good. All right, so hold on one second.
You're good right now.
Let me see if I can fix something. Hold tight, you guys. Hold tight. Jerry's going to talk to you guys and sing you a lullaby while I try to correct this.
Loving you. Hi, guys. Who's in here? Who we got in here? Steve. Hello, Steve. John. We got 4 people in here, so there's 2 more people in here that you need to speak. So we know you're here with us today. I don't want to really get started without Jamie. So, hey, John, how you doing? The weather's a little nasty over here today, and rainy and cold. So, I don't know where everybody's at. Hey, Steve, what's up, Jason? And Jason? I thought Jamie was sleeping when I logged on. Right. I know I took a nap earlier. I had to set my alarm to make sure I got up on time so I didn't miss the show. I got out of work. I was tired today, man. Hey, Shelly. Hey, E. Bowden. It's raining over there now, too. Yeah, it's been raining here all day, man. It's probably, I don't know. It feels like it's 60 degrees, so it's not the warmest. But hey, it's fall. What do you expect, right? I actually like it. I enjoy it, so I'm not complaining. It's hoodie weather, man. Uh-oh.
Trying to make Jerry be a one-man show tonight. Actually, what I was doing...
I got it, man. I got it.
You got it. Oh, it's funny. So I'm trying to catch up here on some of the comments. Funny that Jason thought I was sleeping. Soon. Believe me, soon. Hey, Shelly. What? Shelly can't say hi to Jamie. I see how that is. Thank you, Shelly. So let's just jump into this.
You want to go feet first, right in, right?
Oh, okay. So Shelly wants me to mention the meetup on October 9th. So I'll throw that out there now. We'll get that right out front. If you're in Michigan or even within driving distance of Grand Rapids, you don't have to be from Michigan. We're hosting a meetup. Shelly, Jerry, and myself. It's going to be a model shoot. So we're going to have models on site. We're going to have a variety of lighting options. I've got some really big RGB LED panels, and we're going to be lighting with those. Jerry's got his stuff from Spiffy Gear, if you remember the last episode where we talked about those. Probably going to do some steel wool spins. We'll have a few other things as well. It's going to be in downtown Grand Rapids. And if you're interested in going to that, it's next Friday night in the evening. We're going to get there about sunset and shoot into the dark a little bit. If you're interested, just check out the show description. And I'll also post a link to it on the Mirrorless Minutes Facebook page. We have a Facebook group for the meetups that we're doing. And you can get more information about that meetup over there. So
where are we meeting up for that?
So there's a sister sculpture to the one that's in Chicago. The Calder's Flamingo in Chicago has a like a sister sculpture in downtown Grand Rapids, and I want to say I'm not even going to try to guess the name. Something Vitesse is the name. But anyways, if you just type in Calder statue Grand Rapids, if you were to show up there next Friday at about 6:45 or 7, you'd meet us there because we're going to hang out in that general area. There's a couple of things to shoot over in that area with the lighting. So
Right, for sure.
that's next Friday. So again, just swing over to the show description after the show's done, and I'll have some more information on it there.
Right on.
So Jason said that my screen was froze and I looked zonked. Dude, I've had a rough day. I've had a really rough day. So I am zonking out. I've got a bar behind me in the next room. I'm gonna grab a whiskey or something and have a drink and then go to bed.
Oh, I got a new bottle last night.
What did you get, Jerry? So this is not the show we were talking about.
Hey, we got all night.
But I do have to know what Jerry's got.
I got a bottle of Cast and Crew walnut and toffee whiskey.
Oh my, that sounds really good.
I'm gonna crack it open this weekend and check it out, man.
Wow, yeah, that sounds super good. You should have went to the UP with us, and you could have brought that along.
Right.
For the ride. Since how I'm not driving and Mark Miller's driving, we could have drank on the road.
There you go.
All right, so again, we teased it long enough. So you want to know what the F-bomb is. So I'll tell you what the F-bomb is, and I'll show you what the F-bomb is, and we're going to share F-bombs all night long. Okay. So the F-bomb that we're talking about is Fuji, and I'm sure you probably picked that up from the little thumbnail for the show, the little pixelated Fujifilm logo. So I picked up, hey, Julie's on here. How you doing, Julie? I picked up a Fuji XE3 after talking with Jerry about, just like a portable take-along camera. I've got my Pen F that I love to death, but I wanted to see what some of the other camera manufacturers are doing. And I knew for a carry-along camera for me, it was probably going to be a Fuji for a pocket camera. There's nothing from Sony that I was interested in, or Canon or Nikon or anything like that.
Right.
And, the film simulations are what drew me in. That's what I love about the Pen F, is having the creative color profiles and the black and white profiles and stuff. And Fuji has been doing that for a long time with all of their cameras. So that's what I ended up going with. All my images shared tonight, of course, are going to be shot with this. This is the XE3, and I have it's a 27 millimeter f2.8. It's a pancake lens. It's the smallest lens they make. Right. So I wanted something extremely pocketable, and I can fit this in my jacket pocket.
So with the crop factor, that's what, about a 40 millimeter?
I think it's like 42 millimeter. It was getting me a little bit longer than 35. I know 35 is kind of the standard walk around focal length. So talking with Jerry about it, we were talking about what that field of view looks like. And I told him, just imagine, like the 17 millimeter on Olympus, but then you have to take like another big step backwards to fit stuff in the frame. So that's kind of my new toy to play with, so that I can kind of report back to you guys what it's like shooting with Fuji. So, putting that out there, if there are any questions anybody's got about what it's like grabbing a Fuji camera after spending so much time with, an Olympus camera, I can answer those questions for you too, because I've got a lot of things to talk about as far as that goes. So
how far have you dug into the recipes? So should we explain the recipes and the film simulations, because some people might not know what they are?
So I've got a comment here. This is wonderful. So I helped him jump to Olympus, and then he jumped to Fuji, and now he's jumping over to Panasonic. That's excellent. It's kind of fun though to just see what's out there and see what different looks and things you can get from those. I'm sorry, Jerry. So you said, how deep did I get into the recipes?
Yeah. Have you dug in and created your own, or?
Yeah. So what Jerry's talking about is, if you're familiar again with the Pen F line, you can kind of get in and tinker with color, or you can tinker with black and white settings. And like I said, Fuji's been known for their film simulations forever. But what I don't know if people realize that Jerry's mentioning is that you can get in and take those film simulations that they have and then start adjusting things in those. You can start adjusting, how the shadows and highlights work. A fun thing that I've been doing is taking their classic chrome, which is kind of a Kodachrome look.
Right.
I've taken that, and what you can do that you can't do quite the same on any other system that I've used so far is um, I can take the white balance and then I can start shifting the white balance, not based on Kelvin, but based on color. So my color chrome, or Jamie Chrome is what I'm calling it. That's actually kind of what I've got it named in my menus here, because you can custom name your settings. So it's basically a Kodachrome look, but I deepened the shadows a little bit more, toned down the highlights just a little bit, and then I took the white balance and I set it to a daylight white balance. But then I did a shift, so I bumped up the red tones a couple of, and I don't know how to even describe it. I just went +2 with the red. What +2 equates to, I couldn't tell you. But then I also desaturated the blue a little bit, and it just gave this really cool vintagey kind of look, where the reds are just rich and they pop out, and then the blues just kind of have this fade to them. And so that's kind of what the recipes are. You can take and start from scratch and build something completely new, or you can take the existing ones and modify those. And then the cool thing that I like is that you can name them. So that's really cool to be able to name them, so you know what you're looking at when you're running through your menu.
So there's already a ton of pre-made recipes out there as well.
Yeah.
So if you're an old film photographer and there's film that you like to shoot and that you can't get anymore, those recipes are out there and you can dial them into your camera.
Yeah.
And basically it emulates the film stock that you can't get your hands on anymore. I'm really interested. I want to see a good recipe for Portra 400, because that's probably my favorite film stock. I just love the way Portra 400 looks. It's soft and it's rich in color. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then Cinestill 800 is another one that I wanna dial in. But so was that you that? No, that was Ramon that sent me some. Ramon shoots Fuji too. He's actually been trying to get me to shoot Fuji for 3 or 4 years now, and I was like, nah, I don't got time for another camera system. But the film simulation stuff is really cool, man. And I've been getting into film, but it's so expensive, man, to get film developed every week and to buy film and
Yep.
So I'm like, yo, if I can get a Fuji camera and dial these film stocks in, I can see my pictures right now, and I don't have to get them developed and
yeah.
So that's kind of what made me lean that way. So
to answer Steve's question, yeah, they're JPEGs, and I've got a little bit to talk about that too with this camera here in a minute. But so Jerry, when I was talking with him about this, so what kind of got this going is last year Fuji sent me their medium format rangefinder camera, the GFX 50R, and I had fun with that. They sent it to me I think I had it for like 3 weeks, and I shot with it, and it was a blast. It was super. It was very different to shoot with. To go from micro four thirds to go to a medium format, it was just like a whole other planet in photography. And I wasn't too impressed with the build quality of it, though. It felt really cheap. It felt like a big giant plastic brick.
That thing was huge, dude.
Yeah, and it just wasn't very elegant in its design. I didn't feel like. So, I had my fun with it. I sent it back. I have a lot of images from that, that I had made, and hadn't really thought anything at all about Fuji in quite a while. Just every once in a while, looking at some of the pictures from like one of their ambassadors that I know, Brian Minier, seeing his work, I'm always just intrigued by what Fuji offers.
Brian's stuff is good, man.
Yeah, it's amazingly good. And so Jerry had spent some time. He went to the local camera shop, and he knows the owner really well. And he just got to talking to him about film, and Jerry was talking about his medium format film camera, and then
that's what got it started. Yeah.
And then Jerry ended up using the owner's, what was it, a GFX 50S?
Yep. Yeah, he let me borrow it for a week and go around town and shoot with it.
So the talk about that, and it was just, it kind of reignited that interest, I guess, in playing around with Fuji. So I jumped on KEH's website. Actually, and some of it too, it's Jerry's fault. Jerry was talking about, and is still talking about, the X100V, and
Don't bring that up. That's touchy. I'm trying not to buy that, dude. Don't bring that camera up.
So Jerry's been talking about buying that camera, and he just got me interested in something different to throw in my pocket aside from the Pen F. And I'm not going to spend $1,500 on a pocket camera. So on KEH, I picked up the XE3. It's basically brand new. The XE3 and this 27 millimeter f2.8. I think it was like $750 for both of them.
I didn't know you could still buy those brand new.
Well, like I said, it's like brand new. So when you order from KEH,
I'm talking about like from Amazon and stuff. They still sell brand new bodies. Yeah.
So they're obviously still stock of them floating around.
Right.
But so I got this camera again. Like I said, I wanted to experiment with something different, and during these conversations, Jerry had talked a lot about wanting the Portra look, and I was a big fan of the Velvia look after visiting Peter Lick's gallery in Lahaina and Maui, and that just drew me into that film stock. And Jerry tipped me off to a great website for Fuji users called Fuji Weekly, and this guy has gone through and built out dozens and dozens of these recipes, and you can see what they look like, and they're for different Fuji cameras because some of them have different sensors. And he tells you, if you have this model of camera with this sensor, these are the recipes you can build that I've created, and shows you exactly how to do it. So learning how to do it was really easy because of that website.
Right. I wish he did more YouTube videos. He's starting to do them now. Oh. But his videos are actually pretty cool, the few that he has.
I'll have to subscribe to that guy because his film simulations are great. I think he lives in Utah. It seems like a lot of his stuff is shot in and around Utah. Yeah.
Right.
But that's what I'm going to be sharing tonight. And I know Jerry hasn't spoken much about it, but I'll give him some time to talk so I can catch my breath. He can talk about the GFX 50F as well. So if you guys have questions about the medium format experience also, now is probably a good time to ask those.
All right. So Craig over at the camera shop here in Muskegon, shout out to Craig. Let me borrow his personal GFX 50S for a week and test it out and see what I thought about it. I was in there to drop off I was in there picking up some film that I had negatives done, and I asked them about medium format film if they developed 120 because I got a medium format film camera, and he was like, no. So then we got to talk about medium format, and he brought up the GFX 50S. He was like, you can borrow it if you want. I was like, hell yeah. So I picked it up and ran around town and shot with it. It's a little bit bigger than I would say. When you think medium format, you think of a massive camera.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because them Hasselblads or that Pentax, what is it, G44, G45? What's the medium format Pentax?
Yeah, it's whatever 45Z.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, those cameras are freaking huge, dude. So that I never really wanted to tote a 7-pound camera around, so I stayed away from it. They're expensive, but the price and the size is a turnoff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I noticed the Fuji cameras weren't as big as those, and I would say the GFX 50S is probably a tiny bit bigger, and it might weigh close to the same size as my A7R2. So it's not a big, massive camera. It's tolerable. You can tote it around all day if you want.
It's as small as that?
That's it's not very big.
OMD.
It's not very big.
Wow.
The only thing that the back protrudes a little bit off the body.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's where they house the sensor inside, on the inner part of that.
Yeah.
But it's got a flip out screen, so I'm sure if it didn't have the flip out screen, the back wouldn't be as thick as it is either. But it's not a very big camera at all. It feels like you're holding a D850.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. So it's manageable. You can tote that thing around all day. But the sensor size on that thing is freaking crazy, man.
For sure.
It's like this big. So the dynamic range is awesome.
Yeah.
But it should be. You're talking what? $7,000, $8,000 camera?
Right, for sure.
So it should be awesome. I mean, I don't know really what more to say about it than
Yeah.
the dynamic range is great, the detail is great.
Welcome aboard, Bob.
I only had the 63 millimeter lens on it. I wish I would have had something a little wider. I think the 6C, and that's the cool thing about medium format. You know how when we shoot micro four thirds, you times everything by 2, the focal length. So 25 mils or 50 mil, and then when you move on up to APS-C, it's the crop factor is 1 times 1.5. When you go medium format, you go the opposite way. You go backwards.
Yeah.
So 63 mil is equivalent to about a 50 mil on 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to get used to that. And then I shot a few of the film stocks on there. I didn't dial in any recipes. I didn't have the camera that long. But it was fun, man. It was definitely fun.
But you'll have images to share tonight that were shot with that, right?
Yeah, I got a few. Yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
I did 3 or 4 shoots with it, so.
Yeah. I can't wait to get those over on the Facebook gallery, after the show, so people can check those out. Screen sharing is one thing, but actually seeing them, at least on Facebook, is a whole nother thing. I know one of the photos I'm hoping you're going to share with that gallery, because it's just...
Which one?
I'm not going to say. I'll just point it out if it's the one when we do the share, because there's just something about it. The depth of field, obviously, from medium format is just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. The fall off is crazy.
And I don't know if the image, again, if it's the one that I'm thinking it is, if it was a recipe that was done that way, or if it was your post. It just has this really cool look. Everything just has this very, very distinct look. So I'm looking forward to talking about that one, if it is the one that I'm thinking it is.
Right.
Hey, Jason. Yeah, I know Chris. So let's see. What else do we have here? Steve says he's really been enjoying the Z6. That's what my girlfriend shoots. She's in the chat room.
The Nikon, right? Yeah, nice.
Yep,
nice.
Z6.
Right.
So,
I'm glad to see Nikon and Canon finally making some mirrorless cameras, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, you're right, exactly right. It's the 645Z. Yep, that's the Pentax. I agree. Once everybody's wholeheartedly invested into the mirrorless domain, I think that all that competition's gonna spur some innovation. So right. I'm really looking forward to that. People need to catch up with Olympus on the innovation, because really nobody's doing a lot of the crazy things that they're doing. And I'd like to see other camera manufacturers.
Oh, I'm sure when them patents run out.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I'm sure at some point in time that'll probably happen. And then it'll be cool for other people to get the opportunity that maybe aren't into the Olympus system to be able to create some of the cool stuff that we get to do really easily with our cameras. So
Right. I mean, the other places, some of the other companies are gaining ground a little bit. They're coming out with some cool things like the X100V it's waterproof or weatherproof.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw that video of Kai had the camera. He grabbed a ladle of water and just started pouring it on his camera.
Yeah.
So I mean.
All right, so we can jump into an image share, and then that way it might be a little bit easier to talk more about what the cameras are capable of and all that stuff. So if you want to go first, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, you're going to do this to me, man.
No, then I'm going to do it first. Then I'll do it first. Okay, so let me pull this sucker up here and make it occupy all the real estate. Okay. Go ahead. Jump in. What do you guys say?
No, I thought that was that Mexican restaurant in Lansing we went to.
Nope, it's a Mexican restaurant in Grand Rapids. That's actually super good. It's the Cantina Grill, and it's not your cookie cutter Mexican restaurant, which is nice for a change.
Right.
So again, all of these images that I'm going to share is shot with the XE3 from Fuji, again with the 27 millimeter f2.8. So this is basically one of the film simulations that they have is Acros, and it's not something that I'm familiar with from the film days because I was never really a film photographer. But I took the Acros film simulation, and I didn't like how the shadows weren't as dark as I wanted, so I went through and basically modified the Acros recipe and darkened up the shadows quite a bit. and left the highlights exactly where they were in the Acros recipe and didn't modify anything else with that. So this is a shot. I was, out for lunch with my girlfriend and had to take the camera with me. I needed some shots with it. I hadn't had it for too long. And so we sat down in this Mexican restaurant and I wanted to give it a shot to see how it performs in a lower light situation. So this shot, just recalling from memory, this is an ISO 3200 shot. Again, wide open at f2.8. One of the gripes about the XE3 is there's no image stabilization built in. Right. So, you kind of get spoiled with the Olympus cameras where, even the lowest end camera has incredible image stabilization. This one does not.
Right.
So it really forces you to pay attention to just not shaking or whatever. But again, the ISO 3200 did help, get the shutter speed up fast enough to where I didn't blur. But the guy on the left-hand side, you can see I think he's nodding when he's talking to the gentleman on the other side of the table from him. And he's a little bit blurred. But what I really like about this shot is behind the gentleman on the right is another man, and you see just him. And just the way he looks, how he's got that highlight on his face is kind of a fun thing. The next photo in line here. So this is going to be the meeting location where we host this meetup next Friday.
Okay, that's where I thought it was. Yeah.
Yep. So this is the Calder statue, and in and around the area, Shelly and I went and picked out about 5 locations where we can set up and shoot and do quite a few different looks. I can just see Jerry using the spiffy gear stuff, mounting those to the steel sculpture right there.
Yes, sir.
And probably the end of the day, one of the last things we do is I'm going to do a steel wool spin underneath that sculpture.
You'll get arrested for that one.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I already got a ticket for parking there when we were scouting locations the other day, so why not just get thrown in jail too?
Right.
So this is one of my custom recipes on the XE3. So this was taking the Cinestill that they have. It's another film emulation and just modifying that, just trying to get the greens to be a little bit more richer and the reds to be a little more richer and toning down the blues in this.
So
go ahead. No,
what Cinestill is that? Is that Cinestill 400 or?
I'd have to turn the camera on and see if it says in the camera like what version of Cinestill it's supposed to be. I really couldn't tell you.
Right.
I just know that it's basically something that was baked in, and then I just modified it. Actually modified it when we were there to get the look that I wanted, which is kind of cool, to be able to just go through and start making these adjustments, find what you like, and then just save it and name it.
Right.
So this is Shelly again. Basically, I think we were both probably shooting the same thing, so I shot her. But I wanted to see how the color chrome or Kodachrome recipe that I had modified works out. I was pretty pumped at how it makes her blonde hair and the grass just really, pop and stand out. A lot of crispness and saturation in that. And then again, I'm a big fan of, if it's black, I want it to be rich, and just velvety black. So that's just kind of what I was going for there. So again, most of my film simulations that have been modified, I tend to take the shadows and push them way down. It's funny because as a landscape photographer, if it's shadows and dark, we're always struggling to push those up. But I think in street photography, I really have a place in my heart for shadows just being really dark and mysterious, or rich in this case.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one, again, you can see the sculpture on the far end of this interior space here. And it's funny because I think the last time I was down there, this young lady, I think she works security for this building. I had a photo of her last time right next to her peeking through the window. And this time she was working again, so I got her from a different angle. And this is, again, it's a different one of my black and white recipes as well. The red filter's turned down on that, so the sculpture just kind of gets really muted. But I wanted these deep shadows, and I just kind of testing out what the field of view looks like with this 27 millimeter on a crop sensor, because it's something that's so foreign to me.
I like that. It's pretty wide, actually.
And then the next one, again, just another film simulation. I don't remember what I named this one, but it has a very, oh my gosh, there's a movie I'm trying to think of that I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it seems like a lot of the scenes, maybe it's 300, they have a lot of orangey yellows, just this like
Sin City.
Yeah, maybe Sin City. That's probably a better
Yep.
take on that. Yes, good call on that one.
Yeah.
But again, a cooked-in recipe, and it's hard to see in this, but in the background there's an exit sign, and this is one of those ones again where I boosted the red, so the red on the exit sign on the far side is just really, really rich in red in this one. And this is shooting through a window, so I'm just kind of pressed up against the glass for this. And then this shot, just this is my take on trying to be a street photographer. But I was trying to time it out. I wanted his wheel touching the wall at the end, so it looked like he was just rested up against it. But I'm not Cartier-Bresson. I don't have that decisive moment quite figured out yet with this camera. So again, just my film simulation, for black and white, my alteration of the Acros film simulation. And that's really it. That's all I've got for a screen share tonight. I think that was about 6 images, so should be enough to kind of give you an idea of some of the looks that you can get.
Oh, what happened to my camera?
Oh, Jay's off the air again.
My battery died.
His battery's dead. See, Jerry's using a Sony camera with the very old little tiny battery. So I can just jump in and see if anybody's got any questions or comments. Let's see. So Steve grew up on film. I grew up on digital. I kind of wish I had more film experience. I think I'd have a better understanding of what I'm doing with these recipes. There'd be a lot less trial and error, I think. Hey, Mike, good to see you on here. Hope everything's going good down there in corn country. Let's see, what else do we have here? So Jason was there a few weeks ago on a Sunday, and there was not a soul in sight around that thing. And you know what, dude? We were down there yesterday. So what was yesterday? Tuesday, once work gets out, not a soul in sight. But we've also been down there on the weekends, and there is no one around in that part of town. Everybody tends to hang out a little bit further south. There are a lot of restaurants and things like that. So people tend to hang out over there. So it's always fun to go to this spot. And Jerry's got battery power. Now we just need Jerry's sound to be back on. There we go.
Them little ass batteries.
Yep. So Jason wanted to know if I'm bringing the Fuji to the UP. I'm taking the Fuji to the UP in case there are any abandoned locations on the trip, because that's what I'm going to shoot. Oh, so one thing I wanted to mention about this. So if you know me personally or have heard me mention on the show in the past, maybe the Pen F, when I got the Pen F, I fell in love with it, and I decided right then and there that I was never going to put anything that wasn't strictly a prime on that camera. Right. And I've held true to that to this day. I've never put any kind of a zooming multifocal length lens on the pens ever. And it's going to be the same way with this, except with one caveat. So this lens is the only one I'm going to get because I'm not spending any more money on Fuji stuff ever. So one camera body with this lens, but I'm only ever going to shoot JPEG. Now with the pen, I'm comfortable with the raw files because I know Olympus, but I think I'm doing the JPEG thing with the Fuji strictly for kind of like a personal project, or just one of those things to kind of motivate me to shoot a little differently, knowing that I can't, recover something in post because I've got a raw file.
I'm going to like the fact that I don't have to edit anymore.
Yeah, that's nice. I literally dump these on the computer and then just start sharing them.
Right. You got to show off the thumb grip.
Oh, yeah. So, just like the pen, it's fun to accessorize. So on my pen, I've got a leatherette half cover. But Fuji users pretty much know all about these deals. So it goes in the
I've never seen those before until
Fuji.
Yeah.
Agreed. I haven't either. Maybe it's something film cameras have, Leica probably, for sure.
I'm sure.
But it's basically a thumb rest, and it just sits in the hot shoe is where it mounts. This is made out of anodized aluminum. And then, kind of like I have on my pen, I've got a soft shutter release, a red with a blue center leather on it. So I'm just
fancy
dressing my little thing up.
All you need now is a skull cap and fold it up, and you'll be a hipster.
No, I'm working on it. I got skinny jeans that I'm going to tight roll, and
right.
I'm all about it.
All right, let me get in here and show some photos. Let's see if we can do this. Hold on. I should have just did it and then.
He should have just did it, you guys. So Jason Helmer's going to the UP this weekend as well. I'm not sure when he's going.
Are we good?
We are not good.
Oh, come on, man. How does this happen every week?
You'll get it. If the Fuji had a grip like an EM1, they wouldn't need it. That's true, Bob.
Are we good?
We are good. Yes, you're sharing that photo.
Right. All right, let's go. Let's start over here first.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Fuji GFX 50S medium format. This is pretty much straight out of camera. I did bump up the exposure just a little bit. This is a 30-second shot with a 10-stop ND filter on it.
Nice.
63 millimeters, ISO's 100, and this is shot on the Velvia film sim.
Yeah, buddy.
And dude, like, this is pretty much straight out of, like, I could take this, I could send this to my phone, and all I did was bump the exposure up just a little bit, and it's good to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the one thing that really got me interested in Fuji, is not having to edit anymore. So that was a fun one. And then let's this here. So this is cool. So I did a family. So this family I shoot every year. You know how everybody does fall family photos and stuff like that. They don't want to be like everybody else. So every year they want to, and Halloween's their favorite holiday. So every year around this time they dress up and we go out and do some cool Halloween/family photos. So this year they wanted to do zombies. And this is cool because this is a aspect ratio of 65 by 24. That is crazy wide. So how I shot this was I opened the driver's side door, and I pretty much kneeled down on the ground and kind of just set the camera on the back seat to mimic like I was laying in the car. Mm. And I had off-camera flash outside, and this is actually one of my presets. So I shot this in Provia, and then I threw some of my sauce on there to creep it out a little bit.
Nice. So that aspect ratio, that's built into the camera.
Yes, and I'm not sure because I've never shot any of the APS-C sensor cameras. You should check yours and see if that's in there. It might not be. That might be a medium format thing. I could be wrong.
You've probably got enough real estate on that gigantic sensor to where you can do crazy crops like that.
Right. Like, yo, this super wide aspect ratio is crazy, man. It's really cool. So this is a Acros, and I believe this is you know how they got red, what is it, red, green,
the
yellow?
Color filters. Yep.
Yeah, the color filters on top of the black and white.
Yep.
I think this is the green color filter. So it's Acros with the green filter. It's shot at f4.
Yep.
63 millimeters. The ISO's like 1200 because we're indoors. It's actually kind of dark in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But this held up really well. This is straight out of camera, man. There's no editing here.
So it's good that you mentioned. So that's Acros. That's an unedited version of Acros, and then you can see how the shadows are really lifted in that versus like the Acros recipe that I modified, where in this instance the shadows under his chin and everything would be really, really dark.
Right. Yep. And that's the cool thing, man. That this is just shoot and go. You know what I mean? Yep. Now this right here is the only time you're going to run into when you need to do any editing.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I did. This is Jessica, and this is shot at ISO 1250, 63 millimeters at f2.8 on full frame. So that's probably what, like equivalent to 1.2 or something like that. And it's 1/25th of a second, and this was shot on Provia as well.
Okay.
And
so the color grading on that's the Provia. You didn't change any of the hue saturation.
Nope.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then what I did here too is I shot it a little hot. So I did tone down the highlights a little bit because her skin's so pale that it kind of got a little wishy-washy there. So I had to tone down her skin a little bit. So that's really, and then I removed a few pimples on her face. She had like 2 or 3 pimples I had to remove, which I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to get it done.
Yep. So that's one of the benefits of medium format. You can zoom in, and you have so much detail. If you need to clone stuff out or whatever, like pimples or flyaway hairs or whatever, you've got a lot to sample from. That's cool.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, you can see the sink, and I'm like sitting on the edge of the counter right next to her. My legs are right outside of frame, and the fall off on that image is crazy. Like to me, when I saw it on the back of the camera, I was like, "Yo, this looks like I photoshopped her into a bathroom." You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is the shot that I want people to see, in real life, like on Facebook or whatever, just because the colors are so rich and it's got such a cool, like, vintagey vibe to it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the bathroom alone is it looks old. You know what I mean? As far as cool. the paint scheme, it's got green tile, pink walls, and then you put a film sim on that, and it looks like 1970s all over again.
Right. Yep. Yeah, super cool.
Yep. So, them are my film shares for the day. So.
Nice. Yeah, again, so, if anybody has questions about what it's like, just working with these, or if you want to see something in particular, I'd be more than glad to run out and try to snag a couple of shots or go through and find a setting or something like that. If it's something that you've heard about, I'm still learning a lot about this camera. It's funny how different all these systems are. I wish that there was some sort of a unified menu language or something, that everybody adopted, a common naming system, I guess, for things like, so let's just say, let me see here. Okay, so your metering, like on Fuji, they call it photometry. So I'm used to like center weighted meter or whatever. You have to go into and look for photometry, which is basically your metering or what have you. Another thing I've learned too about Fuji that is completely different than anything I've used before is just how the dials work on here. So this camera is missing dials versus some of their higher end ones. So basically, if you want to shoot like an aperture priority, I need to set the dial to A, and A is an aperture. It's kind of like an auto mode, and then I control the aperture that way. So I've just got this basically shutter speed dial, and I've got an exposure compensation dial. On some of the other Fujis, they've got a shutter speed, ISO, and exposure compensation. Then your aperture generally is always controlled on the lens, which is super cool. Unfortunately, this is like one of Fuji's oldest lenses, and I think because it's a pancake, it doesn't have aperture control on the lens.
Yeah, they can't get all. So I got a question for you then.
Yeah.
So, pull your camera back up. Mm-hmm. Where is your shutter speed? Your shutter speed is the dial on the top, correct?
All right. So
shutter speed and exposure comp. So where did you assign your ISO, and what button did you assign your aperture to? Is that front dial your aperture?
So front dial is ISO, back dial. There's a dial back here underneath the thumb grip, and that is for my aperture.
So my question is this. Mm-hmm. When you use that dial on the back, do you have the A option?
A option, as in like to flip that into auto to kind of go into like a program mode?
Yep.
No, I've not come across that.
Really? Now, so how do you put it in aperture priority then? Do you just put the other two to auto?
So this dial up here that is my shutter speed, up here at the top, right where my finger is, that says A. So I put that on A. That just kind of basically allows me to be in what would be aperture priority.
Right.
So from there, shutter speed automatically changes, and ISO automatically changes because I leave it on auto ISO.
Dude, got you. I like that, dude. I mean, that film cameras do that. My Canon does that. Yeah. Where you put if you want aperture priority, you put shutter speed on A to tell the camera you automatically select this while I select the aperture.
Right. Yep.
I like that.
It's been pretty cool so far, and I'm pretty impressed with the ISO handling. I mean, honestly, APS-C really isn't much bigger than Micro Four Thirds, so I expected the high ISO handling to be about the same, maybe a little bit better, and it is. It's about the same, so I can comfortably shoot. So far, I think I've got ISO 3200 shots that I really,
Right.
really, really like a lot,
Right.
and I have my auto ISO capped at 6400. I haven't experimented with going beyond that. And another thing too, so like when you're doing these film simulations, kind of like with the Pen F, you can add in grain, and I like the film color, but I don't like the grain. So
Right.
I go in and I turn the grain effect off on
It's cool
everything.
they let you do that.
Yeah,
Because, like you said, some people's not going to like it. I don't mind a little bit of grain.
yeah.
I don't like too much grain.
No, and I felt like even when you had the grain effect set to weak, it was still more than I was comfortable with. When I first got it, I went to like a family get together, and I just kind of left everything the way it was. My first real foray with the camera or whatever, and I just took it that whatever was baked in is the best way to do it. And I got back, and I just really wasn't too happy with any of the shots, but luckily, that was before I decided to do JPEG only. So I did have raw files, which was nice, so that I didn't have to put up with the grain if I didn't
So,
want to.
so how do you like the JPEGs? You like them?
That's all I'm going to shoot is JPEG. I'm very
That's what
happy
I
with
told
it.
myself. Yeah.
And I think it's probably a lot like Olympus. Olympus's JPEGs are just ridiculously good. And I think from what I've seen so far, I think the only other brand that I would do that with is Fuji. I've shot JPEGs on my Sony, and I really don't care for the look at all. But Olympus has a richness and depth to it, and I think this Fuji is pretty close to that. Not quite the same, but then
It's
again,
different. It's different.
it's different. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not shooting, just a standard JPEG out of the camera. I'm shooting a film simulation all the time.
Right. That's why. Yeah, that's why you shoot Fuji, man.
Yep.
Shoot them film sims.
So been digging it quite a bit, and again, this is as deep as I get into Fuji. I'm not gonna invest in another camera body or anything like that. This is just my throw it in the pocket if I'm not throwing my pen in my pocket camera.
Right.
That and Jerry and I had talked about it before. This podcast has been going on for years, half a decade more, and it's been 99% Olympus the entire time. Even though it's titled Mirrorless Minutes, we've stuck pretty much religiously to Olympus. And I know that we have a decent amount of viewers that shoot other systems, because I get emails almost every week asking if I'm going to talk about something different. So I know Jerry had been shooting Sony for a bit, and then I picked up that Sony once I was not contractually obligated to only ever have an Olympus camera in my hand, and just kind of expanding our horizons a little bit. So I hope you guys don't mind that. I hope you enjoy it.
It's fun, man. It's fun to try new stuff. I mean,
For sure. And
sure.
and I'm kind of getting to the point too where I don't think it's a bad idea to have a second system that's
It's
different than the one you shoot primarily.
Right.
I know a lot of people like to have a duplicate of whatever their main body is, and I understand that. But I think for something fun to go out and shoot, or just to kind of change your mindset or re-inspire you, check something different out, rent something, know.
That's what this is going to be about for me. That Fuji camera is going to be my fun everyday shoot film sim camera.
Yeah.
And my Sony cameras are gonna be my workhorses.
Yep.
When
For sure.
When I do my paid jobs, I'm gonna pull the Sony out. But until then, that shit's gonna sit on the shelf, and I'm gonna shoot the Fuji.
Yep. Cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. Again, swing over to the Facebook group if you want to check out these images. I should have our images uploaded over there before too long. And again, keep an eye out for a notice on that Facebook page as well for the Grand Rapids meetup. We've got a Facebook page for that, our group that you can join. So even if you can't make it to this one, but maybe you're interested in something down the road, we'll be continuing to do these. We're kind of kicking some ideas back and forth about doing something in the winter when it's cold and miserable out, but doing it indoors. Jerry clued us into a really cool spot in Grand Rapids where we could get a space and just kind of make a party out of it, music and, drinks and, snacks and models and lights and fun. So
and Fuji's.
And Fuji's. Fun and Fuji's. We keep dropping that F-bomb.
Right.
Thank you, Shelly. Appreciate it. It was funny to put you on the air tonight. Ha, gotcha. So tune in, you guys, 2 weeks from now. The next episode, I really don't have a plan for that one yet, but I know that I'm adventuring.
Yeah, we do got a plan for that.
Are we going to do the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we do have a plan.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Jerry and I kicked around an idea that'll be really fun. I think you guys will probably dig it. I know I will for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
But until then,
so that also gives you something to do while you're up north.
Yeah. It's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to be in a completely different frame of mind to do that.
Yep. Because the colors are gonna be wild up there. So.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely be in a different headspace for that, but it'll be fun. So that's our teaser for the next show. Hey, it looks like Jason's gonna make it to Grand Rapids. Good deal, buddy. We'll see you there. And until then, everybody else, we see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care and thanks for watching and listening.
See ya.